Welcome, you're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 2320BN. Today's date is November 4th, 2020, and the title of the episode is Coup d'etat, Trump sets trap to expose it all, Patriots know the playbook. Let's talk about protecting yourself online. A new survey reports an overwhelming 85% of Americans believe that at least one tech company is spying on them through the apps on their smartphones. Two-thirds of those asked claim they've seen an ad for a product they talked about but never searched for online. This is exactly why I use Virtual Shield. Virtual Shield prevents advertisers, corporations, and my ISP from keeping tabs on me. It's a VPN that was built from the ground up for privacy protection. A good VPN allows you to hide your location online, prevent advertisers from creating profiles that track you, and allows you to surf the web anonymously, all while being affordable and easy to use. Virtual Shield does all these things and more. Get the Virtual Shield at virtualshield.com/X22 or click the link in the description. You'll get 50% off in celebration of Black Friday. Invest in your privacy today. I highly recommend it. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, yesterday was the election day. And, of course, today we have no results. Why is that? Trump was supposed to win by a landslide. And all of a sudden, the mainstream media, the deep state players, they decided they don't want to finish the rest of the election. So they stopped it. They said there is no winner. They've been calling out states completely wrong. This was all done on purpose. We all need to remember that we've always known the playbook. We've always known what the deep state, what the mainstream media was going to do. Do you really think Trump got elected in 2016, went through all the isms, went through Russian collusion, the P-tape, went through the impeachment process, went through the pandemic, the riots, just to end up at the election and not to win? Did Trump know this was going to happen? Yes, he's told everyone. He's told everyone that this was going to happen. He told everyone that mail-in ballots were going to be a disaster. Now, remember that word, mail-in ballots. He kept on repeating it on purpose. We've been warned about mail-in ballots. We'll be getting to that a little bit later. So, what happened? Well, last night, the media got together, and they failed to call big states that showed Trump winning. The president led in Florida, Texas for hours, but the media would not call these states for Trump. They did call certain states for Biden, and they did this very early on, and people were confused. So when you look at this, Trump, he won in many of the major states. Actually, there was a red wave landslide about to happen. So what happened here? Well, remember, in 2016, the deep state thought they had it. They were in control. There were no worries. Remember, Hillary Clinton said to Trump, "Will you concede when you lose?" Because they didn't think Trump could possibly win in 2016. The deep state, they manipulate the election. They know they already had the popular vote in 2016, so they thought they were going to get the Electoral College. They were not prepared for what happened next. Trump blew them out of the water. They didn't expect that. This time, they prepared. They knew from internal polls they could not win this. They needed to manipulate the votes by using mail-in voting. This is what they've used. But as the country opened up, and Trump said, "Listen, everyone go back to work. We can vote in person. There's no problem here." They knew the mail-in votes wouldn't be enough. So they put another plan into place. When people were voting during the day of the election, they would start calling out states for Biden, hoping that that would stop people from voting, that, okay, he won this state, so there's no reason to move or go forward with this at all. He's won, and that's that. But what happened is that when they called the state, the votes continued on. The people who were voting in person did not stop. And as the evening went on, and there were more and more red states, even though they didn't call it, like Georgia, North Carolina, it took a very long time for Florida. They were doing this on purpose. Well, Florida, they had a call because they ran out of votes and it was on Trump's side. The others, they were saying, okay, listen, this is all turning red. It's turning into a landslide. We need to stop it. And this is why at least 6 Democrat-controlled states took defensive measures to stop and delay the counting votes. And who helped them? They needed the mainstream media. Remember, before the elections, what was the New York Times saying? What was Twitter saying? What was Facebook saying? What was YouTube saying? The mainstream media, they're the ones who can call the election. This was set up from the beginning. Did Trump the Patriots know this? Of course they did. Remember, we are witnessing the birth of a new nation. Do you really think the deep state, the central bankers, the corrupt politicians were just going to hand it to him? Go back to the founding fathers. That was a birth of a new nation. What did they have to do? Oh, wait, they fought in a war. People died. Did you really think that they were just going to lay down and say, Trump won, okay, we're done. Okay, arrest us. Did you really think that was just going to happen that way? Yes, we are witnessing a birth of a new nation. But when you're witnessing a birth of a new nation, and those who control the mainstream media and everything else, and the swamp is deep and wide, they're not just going to hand it over, because if they do hand it over, it's game over for them. Think about the founding fathers with the British government. The British government, they had discussions with the founding fathers. But what happened? They didn't want to give them control. They wanted to keep control. So what did they do? They fought. They came here and they said, we're not allowing this. The deep state is doing the same exact thing. They didn't go after Trump with this election. They went after each and every one of us. They tried to muzzle us. They tried to say, oh, you know what? These people don't count. I don't care what they say. We're going to rule it the way we want to rule it. That's what they're doing right now. Now, did Trump and the Patriots know this? Did they know their playbook? Yes. Q has told us this. Trump has said this many times. They already know this. This was done on purpose. I know you can't see it. I know it's difficult when you look out there and you see the mainstream media, and if you're watching ABC, NBC, MSNBC, CNBC, CNN, and all the rest, yes, they're going to make it as confusing as possible. That's their job. Their job is to run as a block for the deep state. Their job is to act as the bullhorn for the deep state. But when you look through this, you can see what is happening. This was done on purpose. How do you show manipulation? How do you show the people? Remember, the Great Awakening has not ended. This is just the beginning. The election wasn't the end. This is the beginning. Because after this, do you think when the arrests come, do you think the high-powered players are just going to sit back? You know, the people that you don't know behind the curtain? You think they're just going to be relaxed? Okay, arrest everyone. Of course not. This is a battle to the very end. When you look at the deep state, you understand the central bank, they will fight to the end, and they'll continue to fight until they're completely and utterly destroyed. And this is Trump's long game. It's not a short game. It's not about rounding up 3 or 4 people. Because the deep state players, they don't care about the 3 or 4 people. They'll still be in power. You need to go to the top and get those individuals. Now, what happened here is that Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats, they thought they were going to flip all these Republican seats. But it didn't happen. Instead, it was the Republicans that scored big. And they started to take the seats of Democrats. And when you look at this, you can see right now the GOP has +5 in the House with only 48 seats left uncalled. And of those 48 races, Dems are leading in only 16, of which 14 are already held by Democrats. So this isn't going as planned. Plus, the Republicans have the Senate still. Now, Mark Levin, he tweeted this out, and it kind of sums up what happened here and what they're trying to do. So let me read this. North Carolina, Georgia, Alaska should all be called now for President Trump. There was no legitimate reason to call Arizona early for Biden with so much of the vote out. There was no reason to sit on Florida and Ohio for hours when those outcomes were quite clear. The purpose is to make it appear that the president is not close to the 270 electoral vote number to win the presidency, and to make it appear that the president was never going to be reelected. And you can see all the delays through the night and beyond, waiting for mail-in votes, Philadelphia, Atlanta, Milwaukee, Detroit, etc. This is followed by commentators telling us that there's nothing unusual about all of this. Delays in counting votes happens all the time. Really? We've experienced this before? In all these states? Nonsense. Meanwhile, the Democrats have been litigating in states for months to change existing laws, election laws, to help Biden and Democrats. They set in place the mail-in voting chaos, some states literally a few months ago. And he's absolutely right. This is not normal. When a winning team is winning, do they put a stop to the game? No, the losing team does. They put a stop to the game before the game is called. When the losers are losing in an election, Biden, the mainstream media, they put a stop to what is happening. Trump was winning. They had to stop him. They couldn't let it go any further. They tried their other plan in calling different states with the mail-in vote. It didn't work. Trump tweeted this out. They are finding Biden votes all over the place in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan. So bad for our country. He continued. They're working hard to make up 500,000 vote advantage in Pennsylvania disappear. Likewise, Michigan and others. So what happened here? Well, it seems that these different states, they found magical ballots at 4 a.m. Now, we were tipped off about this. Trump gave a presser at 2 a.m. and he mentioned the 4 a.m. drop-off. Take a listen.
So we won there. We lead by 76,000 votes with almost nothing left. And all of a sudden, everything just stopped. This is a fraud on the American public. This is an embarrassment to our country. We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election. So our goal now is to ensure the integrity for the good of this nation. This is a very big moment. This is a major fraud in our nation. We want the law to be used in a proper manner. So we'll be going to the U.S. Supreme Court. We want all voting to stop. We don't want them to find any ballots at 4 o'clock in the morning and add them to the list. Okay? It's a very sad moment. To me, this is a very sad moment. And we will win this. And as far as I'm concerned, we already.
And last night when I heard this during the presser, I tweeted out, message sent and received. Ballots found at 4 a.m. Get ready for 4 a.m. drop. Now this was at 2:35 a.m. So what happened? Well, all of a sudden, we started to see ballots being dropped off at 3:45 a.m. and 4 a.m. Patrick Colbeck tweeted this out. Starting hour 13 at AV Counting Board in Detroit at Cabo Hall. The majority of the final drop of 38,000 ballots that arrived at 3:45 a.m. have yet to be counted. So there were ballots that were dropped off at 3:45. Then we come to find out in Michigan, all of a sudden there were more ballots that were dropped off. And Biden's vote count went up by something like 138,000 votes. None for Trump, which is statistically impossible. In Wisconsin, we saw the same exact thing. And this was all done right after Trump let us know that they were going to do this. And if you look at the graph, it's a straight line up. Yes, that is called manipulation. You're seeing it firsthand. So Joe Biden just jumped 200,000 votes, 138,000 votes, and the line went straight up. And none of those votes were for Trump. Does that make any sense? No, it doesn't. And Trump tweeted this out. How come every time they count mail-in ballot dumps, they are so devastating in their percentage and power of destruction? Why is that? That's a good question. Because they planned it this way. They knew they were going to have to cheat, manipulate, and they would have to keep this going. Remember, we were told all of this. This is part of the plan. The Patriots know the playbook. It was mapped out for us a long time ago. And what's very interesting is that in Maricopa County, and this is in Arizona, there are 150,000 to 180,000 early ballots returned. There now appear to be at least 605,000 uncounted Arizona ballots left. With Trump down by 93,500 votes, he would need to pull off a 57.73% of the remaining vote, which is absolutely possible, which means Arizona would go to Trump then. And when we look at Wisconsin, we look at Michigan, and all the 6 states, we can see where they're holding these back, because when he gets these states, he doesn't need them all. Once he gets them, he wins. This is why Trump is off to have a recount in Wisconsin. He's also going to have a recount in Michigan. They're already starting the lawsuits right now, and they're moving forward with this. And basically, in Wisconsin, and this is coming from the Wisconsin Election Board, it says, remember, the unofficial numbers being reported for Wisconsin come from the news media. The state doesn't have its own election night system for unofficial results. The WEC won't start getting official numbers from county clerks till next week. So these are the unofficial numbers that the mainstream media is using. They don't have the official numbers. And like I said, in Michigan, Trump and team, they're starting lawsuits there. Now, when you go to the Michigan.gov Board of Elections, and this is the Office of Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson, this is 11/3, and they updated this on 11/4/2020 at 3:14 p.m. Now, they update this every so often, but when you look at Michigan, Trump, his percentage is 52.31%. Biden is at 46.16%. Basically, Trump has won Michigan already. The mainstream media, they're just holding all of this back. Now, the Georgia Secretary of State is asking counties to get all of their results counted today. Every legal vote will count. And the team has been sent reminders that this must be done now. So, if you are winning, and you're winning the election, like they were telling us Biden was winning, you wouldn't shut down the election. You would keep it going. If you are losing the election, and they're telling you fake information, you shut down the election, because it won't make sense as more and more states are brought into the picture, and as more and more of the votes are cast. And none of it would make sense. This is why we have Twitter, Facebook, YouTube taking down those people who are going to call the election. Remember, they said they were going to do this. Remember, this is just the beginning. Remember, we haven't even gotten to the part where Trump and the Patriots, they know the playbook. But I want to read what Methods tweeted out. He wrote, warned they would attempt to steal. Big tech threat to censor claims of victory months before votes are even counted. Key states now decide simple math is hard. Mainstream media initially causing confusion to control the public through emotion, give cover to fraud. Blueprint Coup tweeted this out. Just as he's done for the past 4 years, Trump has put a giant magnifying glass on systemic corruption in America. And that's why election 2020 is now going to SCOTUS. Patriots are 100 steps ahead of this. Hold the line, writers. Justice is coming. Think about this for a second. Trump, just a couple of weeks ago, nominated Amy Coney Barrett. Got Amy Coney Barrett confirmed. What was the deep state trying to do? They were trying to stop this. Is it a coincidence that RBG just happened to die at the right moment? I don't think so. Why does he need the Supreme Court? Because he knew he was going to need it for this reason. Why was the National Guard deployed to 12 states to help with the election? Look at which states they are. They look very similar to the 6 states, and there's a couple extra, that are holding out right now. Alabama, Arizona, Colorado, Delaware, Illinois, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Texas, Virginia, Washington, Wisconsin. This was done on purpose. Now, I want to go back to post 4,738. This is September 20th, 2020. Q lets us know exactly what's going to happen. This is what it says. How do you extend lockdowns, economic hardship, unemployment, fear death count, dementia Joe, etc.? In order to paint a narrative, mail-in voting. When did narrative start? March? Early? Planned? Yes. Needed to save lives? Plus ballot harvesting in order to generate future narrative election day +1, which cast doubt as to the legitimacy of POTUS win. Constitutional crisis. Not all mail-in ballots counted. How many mail-in ballots lost or did not arrive in the key battleground states, which could have returned a different result? We must investigate who cast a vote, but it did not register. We must go door to door if needed. Ballot harvest. Our lives are at stake. The sky is falling. In order to legally challenge delay results, enact riots and chaos in attempt to overturn. Coup d'etat. What you are witnessing right now, at this very moment with the mainstream media, the deep state, the invisible enemy, you are witnessing a coup d'etat. That's what they are doing right now. This was a coordinated effort. Yes, Trump was winning. Yes, he was going to win all those states. Actually, he's won all those states. He has a tremendous lead in all these states. They just don't want to announce it. Remember, Tom Fitton reminds us that it's election day. By federal law, it is on November 3rd, not the 4th, not the 6th, not next week. It's today. And we know there's a reason why they were telling us they were going to drag this out. Because they're trying to manipulate and they're trying to get Trump out. Remember, Pelosi, Gore, Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton said Joe will not concede no matter what. We had others like Nancy Pelosi and the rest saying that they're going to drag Trump out of the White House. Do you see why they were saying it? This is their plan. Now, Trump, he is going to Pennsylvania. Actually, it looks like he's going to win Pennsylvania. It looks like they're going to announce it. He's going to Wisconsin, Michigan, and the rest of the states. And in these states, like Wisconsin, he wants a recount. Now, a recount is very important because each ballot has to be legally certified for the recount. They have to be legal. And nobody should object to a recount because if Biden's the winner and we want a free and open election, we should recount. But wait until you see when we start the recount. They're going to argue. They're going to push back. So let's think logically here. If the playbook was known, why not just stop it from the beginning? Because the Great Awakening has not stopped. It's continuing. You must show the people the truth. The people need to understand. Let's talk about protecting yourself online. A new survey reports an overwhelming 85% of Americans believe that at least one tech company is spying on them through the apps on their smartphones. 2/3 of those asked claim they've seen an ad for a product they've been talking about but never searched for it online. This is exactly why I use Virtual Shield. Virtual Shield prevents advertisers, corporations, and my ISP from keeping tabs on me. It's a VPN that was built from the ground up for privacy protection. A good VPN allows you to hide your location online, prevent advertisers from creating profiles that track you, and allows you to surf the web anonymously, all while being affordable and easy to use. Virtual Shield does all these things and more. Get Virtual Shield for 50% off today by going to virtualshield.com/X22 or click the link in the description. This is a Black Friday special, so it won't stay around for long. Plus, for today only, you get 50% off all Virtual Shield's premium add-ons, including Protection Plus, residential access, and VIP performance plans on their website as well. Invest in your privacy. I highly recommend it. Get Virtual Shield today. Why did Trump mention the 4 a.m. drops at his 2 a.m. press conference? He set a trap. He knew that this was going to happen. The deep state playbook was known from the beginning. Why interfere with an enemy while he's in the process of destroying himself? How do you show manipulation? Can you just tell the people that there's election manipulation? Or do you have to show them? Remember, this is not about 4 years. This is not about just getting reelected now. This is about going after those non-elected people that are in control. The power has to come from the people. The people have to understand, because if the people don't understand, it's just going to repeat in the favor of the deep state. The people have to realize what has been done in this country. Yes, it's going to be painful, but if you want your country back, it's going to be difficult. The founding fathers had to fight with muskets, with cannons. People died to separate themselves from that government. We're trying to separate ourselves from the deep state, non-elected government. So, yes, it's going to be a battle. Yes, this is a rebirth of the nation. This is what it feels like. And I want to go back to post 4,587 because you're going to see why Q has been telling us that other things are coming. Remember, Trump is going to challenge all of this. Yes, in the end, he's going to win. And we'll talk about that in just a sec. But post 4,587. C19 narrative kill date, election day, +1. So that's going to die down. They don't care about COVID anymore. The elections are over. Prepare for 0-day massive cyber power attacks attempts on 11/4. Now, does this mean it's going to happen? Well, we might see massive platform outages. We might see them attempt to try to attempt this as soon as Trump goes up against what they're trying to do here. Yes, they're going to make their move. And Trump, he's assembled an all-star legal team already. And it's been assembled already, but the news is just coming out now. Who's on the team? Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell, Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi was the Florida Attorney General. Sidney Powell is the attorney for General Flynn. And we know who Rudy Giuliani is, the mayor of New York. He also got the laptop, exposed Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. And we can see that Trump is now making his move. This is when things are going to get a little scary, because now the deep state is going to push back. The corrupt politicians are going to push back. And they're going to be going after each one of these states. And remember, they're fighting for their lives. They're not just going to give in. They're not going to say, okay, you got us. We cheated. We manipulated. They're going to fight back. So Trump and team, they're in Pennsylvania. Trump tweeted this out about Pennsylvania. We're winning in Pennsylvania big, but the PA Secretary of State just announced that there are millions of ballots left to be counted. Rudy Giuliani said, en route to Philadelphia with legal team. Massive cheating. Trump up by 550,000 with 75% counted. Will not let Philly Democrats hacks steal it. So what are we witnessing right now? We are witnessing a coup d'etat. When do you have a coup? Is it during a period where the leader is comfortably in his position or her position? Or do you wait for the election to have the coup? You wait for the election. There is a coup happening right now. We're in the first stages. And what do you do during this coup stage? Well, during the elections, you have to make it look like Trump is the tyrant. Trump is trying to cheat. Trump is doing everything possible to win this election because he's losing. It's actually the opposite of what is happening. But this is what they're going to try to do. They're going to try to delegitimize the presidency. This is why Nancy Pelosi was out there saying we're going to have to drag the president out of there. This is why Gore was saying the same thing. This is why Hillary Clinton was saying that Biden is never going to concede. They're in the process of doing all this. How do you do this? Well, you do it through manipulation and fraud. You do it with riots. You do it with chaos. This is what's happening right now. Now, we were told all of this. Let's go to post 4,722. This is September 16, 2020. It says, add it all up. Virus, riots, organized Antifa, fires. The why. Make no mistake. they will not concede on election night. Make no mistake, they will contest this legally in battleground states. Make no mistake, they will project doubt in the election results. Make no mistake, they will organize massive riots and attempt anarchy. 99. Design. Playbook known. Yes, there are countermeasures in place. And the Patriots have already prepared these countermeasures. They're not going to broadcast it to the people. Then the deep state would know. But we kind of understand what they're going to do. There might be more. But remember, by doing all of this, by allowing your enemy to move forward, you're trapping them. Because you can now monitor it real time. You can set the trap, have a sting operation, and allow them to do what they do best. This is what's happening right now. And I want to go back to post 3596. Q gives us the Merriam-Webster link for the word trap. Something by which one is caught or stopped, unaware of. Enjoy the show. So what advantages might exist when you know the other side's playbook? You can set traps. It's a sting operation. Now, the question is, Trump mentioned the 4 a.m. drops. He's been mentioning the mail-in ballots, how they're ripe with fraud. And I want to go back to post 2479, because this is very interesting. What if the below could be proven? Election plus D party officials filled out many thousands of blank ballots. Election plus D party officials removed and destroyed legal ballots. Election plus D party officials deliberately organized non-citizen voting. Election plus D party officials in XX locations across the U.S. under lock and key stored many thousands of blank ballots for purposes of altering the vote total. Who safeguards blank ballots? Who issues the blank ballots? Who controls blank ballots? How many blank ballots are generated versus total county population? The control and issuance of blank ballots is key. So think about that for a second. The control and issuance of blank ballots is key. Who controls these ballots? What happens if the Department of Homeland Security controlled the official ballot production? What happens if they handed these out? What happens if there were security measures in place where they could tell this is a real ballot and this is a fake one? Remember, we know that China, they're able to create fake ballots. What happens if the Patriots allow them to bring in all these fake ballots, and when they go to certify them, and let's say there's some type of marker on the ballot that they can't see with the naked eye, what happens if these ballots don't have that marker? Have you trapped them in manipulation? Where did all these come from? Because go back to Michigan and Wisconsin and the rest. How do you add 200,000, 138,000 votes, and not one of them is for Trump? Statistically impossible. Let's move on to post 2610. And Anon on the board said, will voter fraud be exposed before January? Q said no. 2019 push voter ID based on verifiable intel fraud. Now, the next line is very important. 2020 plus safeguarded. Trump, he didn't come all this way and go through all of this and know their playbook to lose the election. If people think he's going to lose, watch what happens next. He's about to make his move. Did you know the Hunter laptop from hell was coming? Did you think he was going to beat Russian collusion? Did you think he was going to beat all the isms? Did you think he was going to beat the impeachment? Do you think he was going to beat the pandemic where they were trying to destroy the economy? He's beat all of this. This is not about just winning the election. This is about showing the people, bringing them to the edge, showing how corrupt our system is. Because if you don't understand how corrupt it is, if you don't understand how far these people will go, and if you don't wake up enough people, nothing is going to change. He'll do his 4 years, he'll arrest a couple people, and then somebody else will come in. You need the people on your side to proceed forward. And when you look around the country and you look at the turnout, and when you remove the manipulation, you're going to see a completely different picture. He's about to show everyone. Because as of right now, he's won all those states. The states they don't want to call. They're doing it on purpose. It's almost like the pandemic, where the governors and the mayors kept those states locked down. Was there any reason to keep them locked down when the death rate was 0? No, there wasn't. But they did it on purpose. Why? They were pushing an agenda. The same thing is happening right now. The patriots, they know all this. They set them up. It's a trap. How did he know there was going to be a 4 a.m. drop of ballots? Why did he mention it? He sent a message. It was done on purpose. Does he seem frazzled? Does he seem worried? No, not at all. He knows in the end, he has them. The sting operation worked. He has them. And the election is going to be in his favor. Now, once this happens, it's not over. It's not going to be like, okay, the deep state lost, the central bank lost, the invisible enemy, we're done, that's it. This is when you're going to see the riots. It wasn't that Trump was going to win the election on election day and then riots were going to happen. The riots were going to happen when Trump shows that they manipulated. This is when they're going to create the chaos and the riots. This is why everyone's standing by. And I'm talking about Antifa and the rest. This is when you'll see the chaos. This is when you'll see the riots, because now they're going to throw a tantrum. And they're going to blame it on all the people. They tried to silence you, where the mainstream media says, yeah, we're not giving it to you because we said so. That's what they did. Because the invisible enemy, the mainstream media, they said, we are not giving this state to Trump. I don't care if it's 95%, all the votes are in, and Trump is leading by +5, +6, +7. It doesn't make a difference. We're not giving him the state. Actually, what they're saying is, we don't care what the people say. We're not allowing you to vote for Trump. That's what they're doing. And now the people are seeing this. They've seen the lockdowns. They've seen the dictators. They've seen the riots. They've seen how the governors, the mayors, didn't stop them. They allowed these people to destroy businesses. They've seen censorship. Censorship is happening right now. Anyone that tweets or talks about winning the election, they're automatically censored, or there's a warning label put on them, or their account is locked for a little while. Now you're seeing manipulation and how far they will go, and how the election officials are manipulating the elections in different areas, and how they're all on board. Remember, this is the swamp. It's deep and wide. But remember this. The patriots are in complete control of all of this. Trump is ready to hit them really hard. He didn't come all this way to lose. He already planned for it. He already knows what they've been planning. He's been telling us. Q's been telling us. This is why he has other things up his sleeve. Watch what happens next. He's ready to make his move. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.